Hey everybody, we are back again. Ralph here, Steve right there. We're the Legal Help Live team. Call us at 1-800-405-4222 and ask that legal question. Get a legal answer and get a gift certificate for dinner or lunch for two at a restaurant of our choosing. What's up, Steve?
Well, lot going on. A lot going on with lap dancers, but I know we've got a bunch of calls. So why don't we? This is the last segment, so let's try and take a few calls.
Yeah, let's try and get as many as
before we
can.
get into the thorny issue of lap dancings and execution. So let's go to the callers. Mr. Alvin from Westminster, California. How can we help you?
Yes, hi. Recently, the government's been talking about that they want the service providers, your telephone service providers, to retain all your text messages indefinitely, so that they can go back and review them and prosecute you for things that you may have said or incriminated yourself in these text messages without statute of limitation.
Wow. So
is that against your First Amendment rights, or because sometimes you and I might say something that derogatory about somebody else that might be illegal.
Well, okay, everybody's running around with a cell phone where you're texting people, and it writes a written message down there. And the question is there privacy to the text in your text message? I think that issue's before the U.S. Supreme Court right now. I think that issue is finally wound its way up there.
What legislation are you talking about right now?
It was just in the news recently that they want the service providers to retain the information indefinitely so that they can review it at their leisure, even in the future.
I don't think most people know this, and then maybe they should, is that everything that you write down, every text you do, is kept for a substantial period of time by one of the service providers, AT&T, T-Mobile, the whole group out there. So you're doing something that you think is perfectly legal, and you get involved in some dispute, there can be a subpoena issued
to the company
to get all your text messages without getting a search warrant. And in a criminal case, and it's used a lot.
Steve, do you know if the I understand the provider
and
is the one
the question is this like a phone booth? When I go into a phone booth and I'm talking on a phone to somebody, you can't, and I got the door closed, you can't put your ear to the phone booth and listen as to what I'm saying.
You cannot.
You can only do that with a search warrant. A search warrant requires you to get the police to get an affidavit or a declaration, get it typed up, show facts that there's probably a crime being committed, that or fruits of evidence of a crime, and have an impartial, independent judge sign it. Then they can go in and
well, do you have a right to privacy when the text message is being recorded, even briefly, by the provider? Do you have a right to privacy when you know that?
That's the issue. I mean, if this is the form of communication that we're all using, this is the same to me as standing in a phone booth. What's the difference if I'm standing in a phone booth and some cop's got his ear to it, or I'm texting to a friend thinking it's going to be a private conversation? I got to go through the electronic thing.
Well, here's one difference that comes to mind immediately.
It's a great question, yeah. It's a
fantastic question.
It affects millions of people.
It does. It affects everybody who texts, which is everybody. Certainly everybody under the age of 20. But in California, the law has been for decades and decades and decades that you cannot record a private conversation or conversation intended to be private and a telephone conversation unless there's disclosure that this conversation is being taped. So if you can't tape a telephone conversation, but you can retain text messages, it seems to be inconsistent. There's an inconsistency there. But on the other hand, by the very definition of what a text message is, it's recorded as even before it's sent.
Well, would it be any different if I get on the phone and I talk in my phone and the message is then transmitted from my mouth electronically to somebody else? Can they can they wiretap
Not in California.
this without a warrant?
No, no.
Well, then if they can't wiretap it, why would they be able to get the text
But
message?
the difference,
Well, I understand.
devil's advocate for a second. The difference is that it's automatically recorded just by reason of the fact that it's
Yeah.
set out in text.
Yeah, but what I do as soon as I'm through with my text, I delete it from my phone.
Well, who'd
And
you send it to? And did they delete it?
They delete it too, but it's still kept by the proprietor of the phone service.
Okay. Well, the answer.
I think it's
the
gonna
answer
be-
to the question is it could be overturned. We don't know.
Yep, we're up in the air on this one.
Great one. Well, listen.
That's a great call.
Great question. You've heard both sides of the story. I'm usually fairly conservative. He's usually fairly liberal. But he's going to say it's okay. I think it isn't. And
No, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just drawing a distinction between text and telephone.
Well, I just know that there's things that I've said in Texas that are derogatory towards somebody or in a negative form, and I know that they could go back and take that out of context and say, okay, you're guilty of something.
Well, that's another problem. Texas law may be one way. California may be another
That's true.
way. What law applies, that's another whole deal. I can only leave you with confusion, but I will settle your stomach for lunch or dinner for two.
Yes.
On
Yeah,
us.
call in tomorrow.
Call the 800 number tomorrow and we'll take care of it. And have a great holiday.
And
Thank you so much.
Thank
a
you.
general rule might be don't text something that you don't want the entire rest of the world to read at some point. Just as a general rule. I think we got time for one more call.
Absolutely.
Okay. Luis from North Hollywood, come on in. Luis, are you out there?
Yes, I hear you. You hear me?
And we're here too. Go
You're
ahead. You're
coming
on.
in loud and
Okay.
clear.
I have a question. Thank you very much. I have a question. I got a stop in 2007 for the police, and then they give me a ticket. Hello?
We're here. We're listening.
You're on the air. 5 million people are listening to you.
Yep.
Okay.
And then they give me the paper to go to the court. I went to the court, but at the same time, I was really sick. I never complied with the paperwork in the court.
Okay. So now what?
And I left that way, and I really don't know what can I do about
Okay.
it.
So 5
But
years
after
ago,
that,
you did.
3 years after that, in 2010, I got a stop again, but just they give me a ticket to go to the court.
Okay.
Okay, is this all in
And then-
California?
And then, for my medical condition, I never went back to court too.
Okay, it's all in California? It's all
Here's the problem. Well, let's assume that it's in California. Here's the problem. As long as you have outstanding problems with the court, tickets, failures to appear, or both, then you stand the possibility that you're going to be stopped again, picked up, taken into custody, and brought before a judge. It's going to be a very, very uncomfortable situation for you. The only way that you're going to finish...
And you may end up...
may end up in jail.
Should be a warrant. You could have high bail on the warrant. You may spend...
You can spend time in jail. The only way that you're going to finish this is to finish it. You probably would be best off if you could possibly hire a lawyer who does criminal law local to you in North Hollywood. And there's a San Fernando Valley Bar Association. Maybe there's a special one in North Hollywood who could go to court and take all of these cases together and resolve all of them. There may be
Okay.
fines to pay, but at least then you don't have to worry about being picked up.
The other thing you can do is if they're misdemeanors, which they sound like they are,
Failures to appear.
you can go to the public defender's office. They can run a record check for you and see what's really outstanding. Maybe they never went to warrant. I don't know.
That's true. And
But you need to clear them up because it's going to be embarrassing. Do you have any children?
I think we lost him.
Okay. Well, you need to get it cleared up. So,
No, they grow already.
okay. But if you don't get them cleared up, you're probably going to get arrested on a warrant.
Okay,
So
and in the I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead.
The public defender idea is brilliant because these are misdemeanors. You may qualify to be able to hire the public defender. So
there's-
that's a good place to go.
And it won't cost you anything.
Yes, and in the meantime, you're going to call tomorrow. You're going to get a gift certificate for 2 at a restaurant of Steve's and my choice, and you're going to drive there. But let's hope that you don't get picked up on a
No, no, we'll mail it to you.
Yeah, no,
We'll
you're not
mail
going
it.
to drive to. You're not going to drive to pick up the gift certificate.
We'll mail it to you.
You're going to drive to the restaurant. By then, you'll have all of this cleared up. Okay,
Thanks a lot, Luis. Good
Luis,
luck.
good call. Thank you very much for calling Legal Help Live.
Yeah.
So California voters did what I didn't think they would do. They changed the 3-strike law.
Yes, they did.
And they retained
Yes, we did.
and retained capital punishment.
Yes, they did.
Very amazing situation here in California.
So one wonders.
And we still, I mean, the California Supreme Court is clearing up 20 to 30 death penalty cases a year,
Yeah.
and is getting in its docket 20 to 30 death penalty cases, new cases.
Sounds
a year.
like Supreme Court job security.
So we have more than 700 people, I think, now on death row.
And after the California Supreme Court rules on a death penalty case, then what happens?
Well, the average time is about 22 years in California, and that's what we have very few executions.
And then there's federal review as well. There's federal court review,
yeah.
court of appeal review, federal
20,
court
20
of
years.
appeal.
But that's not the same in other states. There's
No, gosh, no.
in Texas, before the expiration date on the milk carton passes, they conduct an execution. So.
Oh yeah, there's no delays in Texas, no delays in Florida. I think Florida and Texas are in a race as to how many people they can execute within a prescribed time period. You know what? I can't believe it, but it's time for us to go. So that's what we're going to do. But you're going to be watching us next week right here on television. We are Legal Help Live. I'm Ralph. That's Steve. We appreciate your calls. We love talking to you. We love giving you legal suggestions as to what to do with the problems that you bring us.
Oh, and one thing, if you have a problem that is sensitive and you want to talk about it off the air, you can call the 800 number at normal weekday business hours, and a lawyer will talk to you about where to go and what to do about it.
Exactly. Not everybody wants to give their legal problems up in front of a million people. Anyway, we'll be talking to you next time. You all take care. Enjoy the holiday season, and you know what?
Or enjoy every season.
That's not a bad idea.
Enjoy every day, of the week, and remember,
it's a nice place.
do something good for someone in the community this year, next year, and
And always. And we'll see you next week.
let's bring our troops home as fast as we can.
You bet.